All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, hopefully, you guys have been keeping an eye on the Facebook and here in Discord, but I'm going to drop something here in the chat. And this is kind of our celebration town hall. So, we're live. At this point, we are announcing that FPV Coalition, the FPV Freedom Coalition, is 100% live. So what this means is the website's live, our membership is live, our shop is live, everything's live. So I'm going to drop a couple slides in here. If you guys have questions, feel free to jump in, ask any questions you want. I'm happy to answer them. Dave's happy to answer them. Anybody here is happy to answer your questions. So I just want you to, any feedback you guys have, I want to know about it. So if you guys are on your computers, you can jump to fpvfc.org. The website is live. All the links are solid and they're ready to go. If you pull up the website right on the front page, I'm going to keep dropping slides in here, guys. You can click on them to make them larger. And if you need to zoom them up a little bit, they're going to kind of come fast and furious. So on the main page, there are two prime links. The first one is the Become a Member link that will take you to our membership website, where you can sign up to become an official FPVFC member. There are, as of right now, there are 3 membership levels. There's an adult membership, which is $40 a year. There is a youth at $20 a year, and there is a founding member at $75. Now, the founding member, that's a one-time $75 fee, but from here on out, you will always be a founding member. Once the year has elapsed, you will fall into a $40 a year membership. If you're an adult, if you're a youth, you fall into the 20. But if you feel like you have the extra funds to help fund us, you can sign up for that founding member and have that on your label for now until eternity. So I'm going to drop in the next one. So if you go click on the Become a Member, it's going to take you to our membership website, which is going to look like this. You're just going to click the Join the FPV Freedom Coalition. You go through a couple prompts, and you'll be able to sign up through there. You'll get a welcome email from us saying thank you for joining. Stephanie, what else do you want to chime in on the membership website there?
I don't really have anything other than, well, I mean, you kind of nailed it. So, yay, thanks.
Sorry. So
made my job easier.
when you sign up, you will have an opportunity to print a membership card. It will have your information, your membership number, your level on it, and when the expiration date is. So make sure that if you do sign up, and we'd love for you to sign up, that you do print your membership card. That'll come in handy later on down the road. Dave?
Yeah, nothing to add so far. Sounds good.
All right, Stephanie, here's your crowning jewel, ma'am.
Yes.
So the FPV shop. Stephanie, take it from here.
I just buy things. Help us. There's going to be a few changes over the next couple of weeks. Right now, what's up there is just, I kind of threw out a little bit of everything just to kind of get a feel for the shop, kind of get a feel for what kind of merch you guys are interested in and looking for. But I also wanted to be inclusive as far as family goes. That's why there's kid, baby, smaller versions, a lot more choices for women because that's not available in most places. So if you guys have any ideas or feedback, please let me know.
Yes, Vampire, FPV babies. There's nothing more important. And in fact, a funny story behind FPV babies. So back, I don't know, probably about a year ago, I went around and I started asking all the major manufacturers why they weren't offering like onesies and toddler shirts and whatnot. And I got authorization from quite a few of them to create some just for personal use. But you know, we're definitely going to be supporting FPV babies. So they're the future of the hobby.
So if people don't see something that they want, what should they do? Who should they contact and how?
They can email store@fpvfc.com. I'll drop that. And I will get that and see what I can do.
What's in the picture there, guys? That's only about a third of what's in there. So
yeah, I've just got it open here. Like,
there's a
lot of stuff there.
There's a ton there, and there's more on the way. In fact, there's actually a line that we're doing. It's designed by FPV pilots, and so that will be coming when, Steph?
About 2 weeks. I'm going to start taking submissions for that. I'll have the submissions file ready to go, and then I'll have something that I can post in the Discord and on our Facebook group. So if you want to submit something to be a part of the featured pilot showcase, help yourself. I'd love to see what you guys have.
All right, and we do have our first one lined up, so that will be coming out in approximately 2 weeks. So going back to the website, a couple of things. I'm not going to walk you through the entire website, but primarily, first and foremost, if you click the Take Action button at the very top right on the front page, it will take you to this page. It will have the Join the FPVFC. It'll have the store as well, but it also primarily, this is going to have the volunteer link, and it's through here that you can submit an application to help out with whatever you feel you can help out with. That could be merchandise and design. It could be fundraising. It could be writers and editors. We are looking for an accountant. Dave, you had a few more you were looking for. I need to update that page a little bit, but
yep.
Let's see. So you click that, it takes you to a form, and it sends an email directly to us. But also, feel free to reach out to us on Discord, on Facebook, wherever. If you've got the idea, then I'm sure that we can help you make that a reality and help you help the community. And that's the biggest point of this whole thing, is to help the FPV community survive and thrive. So let's see. Next up, drop this. Also on the website, we've got a resources page, and this is where you're going to be able to get check into. We've got the HR302 FAQ, which is absurdly long, but answers a lot of questions that people can have. We've got checklists, which would include pre-flight, traveling checklists, flying in like a group session kind of checklist. It's got stuff like managing your VTX channels, managing your power, all that kind of stuff. They're really useful. It's got where to go to register, and it's the legit FAA registration site. No third parties allowed. We don't want third parties getting your information. It's got our press releases. It's got our log of these town hall meetings. So if you miss something, you can go back right there and catch up right there. So there's definitely a lot of resources. And then lastly, we've got the safety guidelines. We just had a town hall last week on the safety guidelines, and I went through today and I updated, including a lot of those changes that were recommended. So things like making sure your registration is on the outside of your aircraft. We had a request for adding in, a little bit of like when you're flying in a group, announcing that you're powering up, that kind of thing, which are all great recommendations. So I updated those. I updated the PDF. You can click that PDF. It'll pop up a one-page document. You can print that off. You can throw it in your flight bag, so you've got those with you whenever you need them. Let's see, and I've got one other thing here. Give me 1 second. I had this pulled up and I failed. Let's see. Oh, for crying out loud. I apologize, guys.
No, that's fine. You just find the stuff you need. I feel like everyone else is being really quiet right now, like out of courtesy. But it's like, got how many people have got in here? Like 19?
Yeah, quite
16.
a few.
It's
This is the biggest
silent.
group we've had so far.
True
know.
story.
It's pretty rad.
And it's awesome. No.
It's
If you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt me, jump in. I'm happy to answer them. One thing I want to do is I want to, if you guys click on this is our official press release.
Fancy things like this now. Okay.
We do have fancy things like this now. So we were able to actually publish out a press release. It's pretty awesome. So when you guys get a second, feel free to give it a read. It's also on our website. So in the press section, like I said, we're going to be updating that with anything that we're doing, anything that we're working on, and anything that kind of needs the attention of the community. There's a lot of stuff that we do behind the scenes that's probably not super exciting, but it's the work that's going to pave the way for the future of FPV, and we're really excited about all that. So, wow, I kind of burned through all of that in about 20 minutes. So
let me add a couple thoughts, Josh. This is Dave.
Yeah.
This is Dave Messina. So we are a nonprofit, and as many of you know, we had to become a nonprofit. It's a little layered, but the FAA recognizes community-based organizations in order to be and that is they recognize a CBO or community-based organization to influence regulations. And in order to be a community-based organization, you have to be a nonprofit. So we've gotten that officially through the IRS. We're a 501c3. And one way to look at this, and if you think back of about what Josh was just talking about, is that we've got basically two paths we're going to go on. One is helping the community with the day-to-day things, the resources he talked about, the checklists, the HR 302, knowing what it means and what dates are coming up and what's going on in the FAA world, and of course FPVFC is USA specific, so we are absolutely focused on the FAA's work. And that's the other half. So the other half is working with the FAA. We've got 2 documents out for review, or they do, that we have to respond to by the 15th of April. So, and as Josh mentioned, that stuff's not terribly exciting, but it is critical to FPV, and your support is critical for us to do both things, both the resources to help on the day-to-day, as well as work with the FAA. We have already a diverse crew across a pretty small core team with Josh and Dan and Stephanie and Matt, and we're able to put this together. And because we are a nonprofit, we are required to listen to the community. So we have to defend that. Yes, this is how we put our energies and our revenues toward what we said we were going to do. And along those lines, anyone as we go along, we will be very transparent. What are we collecting? What are we expending funds on? So we won't use the town hall to get into that level of detail, but I welcome the questions, and we'll figure out a way to make it transparent so that there's access and visibility, so that folks can gain some trust. And yeah, we're really working for this community, as I hope everyone can see that what's been pulled together is this is a work that's been done on the behalf of the FPV community. Josh, anything else?
Yeah, I do. So, one of the things that, we do want to make clear is, as a 501c3, we are completely funded by either our membership, our fundraising ideas and merchandise, or through donations. So do keep in mind that a straight donation is completely tax deductible. Membership is kind of a gray area, and we'll kind of have to sort through that. But definitely straight donations is tax deductible, and we are going to be completely funded by the community in one form or another. We are searching for grants and that kind of thing to help offset some of that, but all of that revenue is going towards fighting for our rights for FPV and joining together with the FAA to make sure that we are carving out a place for us permanently. So I do want you guys to know that, and I do appreciate everybody's support up until and hopefully in the future. There's a lot of great progress being made here, and it's been a long 6 months. But we fought through and we've gotten to this point, and we can keep fighting and go much, much further. Any questions from anybody?
Not a question, but I would just say thanks for all the work. I know what it takes to put that kind of thing together, all the paperwork, all the research, all that kind of stuff. And so thanks to you guys for your efforts.
Absolutely. We love doing it, and if it wasn't a project of passion and love and stability for our community, we wouldn't be doing it. And it's because of you guys that we are doing it. It's because of the community. And from day one, a couple of years ago, when I entered into this hobby, I was completely impressed with the community. And through trials and tribulations and drama and whatever, at the end of the day, we're here to enjoy FPV. And this community is so much more inclusive than any other community I've been a part of. And I think that alone is what drives me, and each and every one of the pilots, seeing what people are doing and flying and how they're growing. That's a passion of mine, and I want to keep that up, and I want to keep it going for you guys.
One of the questions that came up, and it was a topic in a town hall some time ago, was, so what do you guys, why do you guys exist? I thought the AMA had this covered. And so we contacted the AMA, and we will be working collaboratively with them as we can. There are we agree that there are a number of common objectives, and we'll continue talking to them. We also felt that it's really important for us to be distinct and separate. And having been in a number of AMA clubs, and having and in as much as I'm a grumpy old guy myself, we know that there's a feeling and a sentiment that we have to be careful about within the AMA, and we want to make sure that we are working for the rights and the privileges with the FAA, and where there is good positive overlap, then we'll work with the AMA, and hopefully our voices will help as we go toward shaping regulations going forward.
Absolutely. So one of the questions came from Magic. Any thoughts on incorporating STEM programs? I did answer in the chat, but it is in the future. STEM school programs, definitely. To me, FPV and quadcopters and model aircraft in general, just they are the defining point behind STEM. It incorporates every single one of those acronyms, and I think that it's just the perfect project for a STEM program. and I think many would agree. Also, in the near future, for our members who join, we are looking at a recreational type insurance option. We don't know just yet what that will entail, but just know that that's something we're working on as well. So that the goal is to be able to provide you guys with liability, theft, and mostly liability and theft, right, Dave? I'm not missing something, am I?
Correct, and that recreation will be limited to flying FPV. Now, I'm teasing, but I'm serious in the sense. So that's in contrast to commercial FPV. So there are a lot of offerings out there now. There are some available, so we'll look to select one and provide that through FPVFC. And so for FPV and recreational FPV would be the focus.
Absolutely. And that's the goal behind all this, guys, is we're here to support the recreation side of the hobby. That's honestly, I think that's the underrepresented part of the community, and at the same time, it's the part of the community that needs that the most. So, with that
Now,
said,
yeah,
go ahead.
and the one of the things that will keep us a little different is that we are studying and reading everything we can on 107 changes, Part 107 new regulations coming out of the FAA, because we want to make sure that we understand how that will benefit or impact recreational FPV. So we are not keeping isolated from awareness. We want to work with the FAA with a full knowledge of the 107 side of things, because we feel that gives us better context to understanding recreational.
Absolutely.
If I may just step in there.
Of course.
Yeah. If we go back to the having STEM programs in schools, I pretty much started the drone club, as it is referred to at my school.
Excellent.
But the issue is that during school, there's like, at least here over in the UK, it's 2 in the morning. Thank you. Anyway, but yeah, there's like, we're doing stuff all of the time, so it's actually quite difficult to fit having a dedicated STEM program in as long with the rest of our studies. I'm not sure how you'd deal with that in the American system. It's just an issue I've had over here.
So one of the one of the schools near me got a grant this semester, and it's an elementary school, of $10,000 to do an after-school drone program. So I think, and I can't speak for every school system, but I think a lot of schools are opting to do it as an after-school kind of program, or like a club, like, and I'm dating myself now, but back when I was in high school, I was a part of the computer club and drama club and that kind of thing, and we did extracurricular stuff after school, and I think that's a lot how a lot of schools are kind of fitting that in.
Yeah, because if I may continue here, like my design technology teacher, so engineering type stuff, was actually like quite engaged with the drone stuff. It's just most teachers don't know what any of this drone stuff is. So if they didn't have someone like me who'd been doing it for the past 3 years to actually run the activity, they wouldn't be able to start doing it and entering competitions, which there are actually inter-school competitions, which is quite nice to see. Unfortunately, they tend to be run by education companies rather than the drone racing companies. So they tend to be like 5-inch 3S racing on places where you shouldn't really be racing 5-inch.
Yeah.
So I think we need more of integration of like multi-GP doing like school races specifically, so that we can get stuff
one
like
of the
that.
things that we've been talking about is would a teach the teacher be of value, and so in terms of creating materials. Obviously, you're far along and you understand what's going on. But if we were to try to replicate what you're doing in other schools, would it be beneficial to try to put a primer together that would provide some background, and then with the addition of someone who is within the community, flying and knowledgeable, they have the backing of, these are the steps you really want to take, and these are the safety guidelines you want to adhere to. This is the time we need to allot to it. Think any things like, would that be, do you think, helpful to replicate what you've done?
Yeah, like definitely like a guide, like a PDF of like a few pages long of just like basic safety guidelines, what they need to learn. So basically just like lesson structures.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Okay.
LiPo safety, what flight controllers do, what different components do. Sorry.
I take your point on a few pages because, as I'm sure you know, it can get it to be a tome
yeah.
very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very easy to them to sort of just quickly rush into something they know, which is something that happened last year when I tried to run it, because
Mm-hmm.
we were up against sort of time, because we knew there was a race coming up. Like, I don't know how early we started, but it was like a few months before we started. So we just sort of like ordered a load of stuff, and then it was like the teacher decides like, oh yeah, we're going to design the drone frames. Now this involved if anyone's done CAD here, they'd know how difficult it is to teach people from zero to designing drone frames in a few months.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
You've got a number of people here who use CAD, and I'm a mechanical engineer and use CAD and Finite Element as well.
Yeah, I mean, I use Fusion 360, and I actually design my own drone frames. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
Anyway, but the problem is at school they didn't have enough computers to run Fusion 360 on all of them, so you're left using SketchUp, which is not really print very well.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave that out of it because that gets very confusing. But yeah, the teacher sort of focused on just learning how to do the CAD rather than actually learning how to fly. So when it came to the actual races, they just kept crashing out while I was like just going super fast, because I'd set them all up so I could fly them, which was probably not the best idea looking back on it.
Well, was there money?
Brilliant.
Was there money involved in the finish?
There was not, unfortunately, but I mean, there was my pride. So
no moral dilemma. What,
no.
if I may, one of the board of director members is the CEO of Red Cat Software, and so on the overall STEM concept, one of the things that his company is pursuing is utilizing blockchain to ensure that all of the pilot data and all of the data that's captured, video or what, is encrypted as it's being pulled in. And I mention this because this is a board member, and he is enthused with one of our ideas, which is thinking about standardization. So we realize we are in a unique position in that we hope we're objective, and we'll welcome criticism where we are not. But this naturally lends itself, this being FPVFC, lends itself to being able to work with manufacturers and retailers on standards. So hopefully another area where you can expand your thinking about, wow, what could this FPVFC do for me as a member of the community? We're interested in ideas. We really try to listen. That's one, I just mentioned that's one of them that came up. Didn't mean to stop the discussion on teaching in schools, but it came to me as that's one of the branches that came up in one of the discussions about STEM, in fact.
Yeah.
And with that standardization comes a ability to almost speed build and interchange parts quickly, whereas learning how to solder and learning how to set things up and making sure you have the right connector for the right VTX and that kind of thing. That standardization makes that almost as plug and play as it can be. And I think that's the whole point behind that idea in STEM, is to get people to complete the build, understand how that process works, understand what it's doing, but doing so in a way that is easy, makes sense, and is fun.
Yeah. I mean, I think something that could help in the STEM field and in standardization is if we had like standard connectors. Like I know we have those like 3-pin XT60s. I can't remember what they're called, but like having a kit to put together that's like you take in a set of components, you put the connectors on per se, and then you sell them on as STEM kits. Not as like to get profit or anything, but it just makes it easier so that they can quickly interchange parts rather than having to solder on their own connectors, and then they can change the parts.
Absolutely.
Also, a standard like learning path so that people know how to like. So you do hovering first, then you do like forward flight, backwards and forwards sort of thing. So it gives like a structured path and like stages.
Having come from fixed wing RC and RC Hillies, I'm interested in FPV. There seems to be just go fly it, and it's providing newcomers a bit more structure on flight instruction would be beneficial.
Yeah, because that was my my difficulty with teaching them how to fly. Because I was like, I have to start with the basics, but it's but when you've got to like been flying for years, you sort of mix them all together, so you don't really think of the basics. So it's quite difficult to actually go back and sort of think like that. So yeah, just like a simple include that in the guide sort of thing of just stages of progression.
Absolutely. I totally get your point of going back to basics. Sometimes that's hard when you've been doing this for 3, 4, or 5 years. It's hard to say, okay, how did I start? Did I, like me personally, I know I started indoors with a little tiny, Amazon quad, learning how to do, fly forwards, backwards, keep orientation, fly figure eights, and all those different lessons per se, taught me how to control a craft. So definitely, I think I like that idea of a primer or a syllabus, whatever you want to call it, for
syllabus sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I started in like the complete opposite way. I got actually a scholarship from my school like 3.5 years ago or something like that now, which I'm still grateful for, because that got me straight into FPV, got me all of my goals and stuff. But I built it. I had no idea what I was doing because there was none of this like support around us like 3.5 years ago. Like hardly anyone was on YouTube doing it, so it was like just try it and do it. So I built like 6-inch, like 2206, awful thing. Anyway, barely flew on 3S, but it was like take it up and try and fly it, and it was just I didn't really have any preparation on the smaller stuff because there wasn't really a lot of smaller like tiny whips then. So it was sort of just learn to fly it or face rebuilding it every time. But there's multiple ways of getting into it, and just having a standard system so that it's like cross-compatible with other groups of people flying.
I think so. As Josh was saying, and I'd encourage you to take a look at the safety guidelines that we've posted, and we've been tuning these, and it'll probably be somewhat stable, but we're happy to keep refining and adding and cutting also to try to keep it net and brief. But I'd if you're working with a group, or if you're trying to bring on a newcomer, take a look at some of the postings and the checklists, as well as the safety guidelines. The safety guidelines are a rather important document for us, because it's one of the credentials that we want to present to the FAA to demonstrate our bona fides to become a CBO.
Yeah. As I said, I'm actually in the UK, so like
Two. Yep.
most of this.
Yes, we appreciate it's one. Thank you for being here at what's now 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, 20 to 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
So most
And
of this applies, which is actually really good.
good.
And I like how you've put it in grams, which is nice. So I actually understand what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, our energy, the energy is in foot pound, the kinetic energy. So we'll have to translate that to joules for you. So, but we'll work that through.
Thank you, Stymie, for thanking me on being here. I mean, thank youception there, but yeah, yeah. So it's really great that you're doing all of that. Yeah, I've kind of lost my train of thought. Somebody else take over.
Other questions, points, reactions to what you've seen so far? Things we can do in either the resources part or things that are required with the FAA that you know about?
Lots of thanks to the team for all their hard work. It's amazing work. You're amazing people.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Anything else?
My brother, pardon me, I've got kind of a sore throat here, but my brother works with a program in the schools where they have a club that flies model rockets, and he's been in on that.
We lost you, Dean. Where'd you go?
Am I there?
I can still hear him.
got him.
Yep.
Oh, I can hear you. Yeah, I think I think Josh.
Maybe it's my horrible
It's
internet.
just Josh.
Can't be any worse than what I got here. It's like two squirrels running down a path or something to carry the messages.
So you were saying your brother has been helping and facilitating a rocket club in this local school?
Yeah, he's not in my local school, but he's been doing this for like 15 years or so. So he's been in on the ground floor. So I can check with him and see. They have there's like, because of this, they have some similar safety concerns. You can blow a hand off and
Sure.
that
Yeah, we're
kind
gonna
of
go
thing.
light. Yeah, we're gonna go light a solid rocket propellant in close proximity to kids. Yeah, anything that he's picked up over the years in terms of here's how you hold the attention of adolescents. Here's here's some do's and don'ts. That would be invaluable.
Yeah, he's got a similar background to me in that he's been an instructor in the adult education system for doing exactly what I did. We ended up in the same job, but so he I can get from him what he has for recommendations, and that may help us to help with some standardization, because they do this nationwide. He was telling me that they're trying to get a rocket to qualify to go to a national competition. They have to meet a certain altitude within and they have to start all with the same kit, basically, same set of regulations. So
that's fantastic. So I guess
so
October,
he may have some guideline for.
Is October Sky required viewing for that that crew? That's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't. Honestly, I don't know that much about it. I've just seen the videos. It looks like a heck of a good time, and a free trip to Florida, which from Wisconsin is a great thing.
Excellent. Yeah, and however whatever mode, if your brother would rather just chat with one of us, or whatever works, we would love to tap into his experience.
Yeah, I'm sure he would be. I'm sure he would be happy to help. I'm trying to get him hooked on this too. I just need to get a, I need to get a mini quad in his hand, and
yeah,
I think we'll kind of go from there.
He'll be hooked, because it's pretty great stuff. Put those
you can
goggles
go
on,
fly.
as everyone here knows.
Yeah, you can go fly, man. And I had a long winter of not being able to fly with bad weather, and I was able to fly last week, and my attitude about life in general just improved. And
yes, that's we keep seeing and hearing that as FPV is a serious positive influence to folks who are depressed, to folks who are just having trouble, and we take that very seriously and try to understand, how could we help with that? How could we help get the word out? And I think making it a bit easier, as we were talking about earlier, is an important aspect of it. And as we're looking at regulations, folks have heard me talk about focusing on quads that are under 250 grams, because around the world there will be less regulation on those UASs under 250 grams.
And there's
Yeah.
no such
In the
thing as
US,
bad weather.
Canada. There, yeah.
Well, you haven't been where I live, because
I'm in southern
there's
Minnesota.
weather that would put anybody under. Yeah. Especially, and I mean, I don't make any. It's no secret. I mean, I've had a spinal injury and multiple surgeries, and I got the equivalent of the metal and 3 5-inch quads into my spine that holds it together. So I don't get around real well, and just the ability. I mean, having the ability at one point for the physical therapist to say, "Hey, it's okay if you want to bring, your tiny little one in and fly it around the PT gym," and
Awesome.
just somebody, that was willing to take a risk and say, "Hey, you can do that." And literally everybody, you're getting applauded by all these 70-year-old ladies getting their hips replaced because they thought it was cool, So
That's
I
great.
mean, I don't know how you can't hook anybody, and it sure helped my attitude about
That's
I
awesome.
mean, it's awful to fight through that kind of rehab. If I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're able to cheer other people up, and that obviously helped your spirits as well.
Oh
That's
yeah, it
very
was great
cool.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've done quite a bit of flying around people who are not actually affiliated with the drones at any stage, because with my group of people, I just generally fly around the department. And sometimes people like really enjoy it, and then there's the other sort of group of people who try and hit it out of the air, and it's just like you get it. It really shows the divide of some people who think that drones are going to kill them, and drones are really fun. But it's like kind of your job to deal with one of those groups.
Yes. Yeah.
I think the key is, or at least what I've run into here, because I mean, I have to be like the ambassador with the parks and everything here. I run out of places to go because I don't, I can't get to, I can't be crawling over fences and getting to places when, and flying some of these great spots I see. If I can't drive there and get out of the car and be pretty close to it, it's not a spot for me. And so I run into the public a lot, and I do a ton of education. Hey, this thing is not a spy machine. I cannot take pictures through your window. I can't take creepy pictures of your kids playing soccer. This is what it's like, and hand them. Well, I bought one of those little monitors. They're cheap, and it's not a great
Like
picture, but at least
a 4-inch or 5-inch monitor that says, here's, one of the guys from Mexico City, Wara GP. If take a look at his videos, they're fantastic. He carries always has a little 6-inch monitor with him so that he can, show people what's going on. This is why this is so cool.
here
very
it
clever.
is. Yeah, and people are just they're surprised, because they think that it's something that it's not, and then what they do get the chance to see is how cool it is to have that view, like from the pilot seat, if you will.
Oh, absolutely.
And
They
I
also
think
see
when
the
you show
quality.
them that, it's like, oh man, I got to try that.
Yeah. Was that Dan saying something?
No, I was just saying that they also see the quality and how you can't like spy on people with like 4K cameras from like a mile away.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually a really bad video feed.
Yeah, when they see the crappy feed coming back to the goggles, and what that's like, it's like, yeah, well, okay, you're not doing what I thought you could do with that. Yeah.
Consequently, whoever has digital video, don't take a screen around with you.
Yes. Yeah, well said. Right.
That's awesome.
Well said. Yeah. And I
It's
see
hard to
Dan.
spy at 95 miles an hour too. I
True
mean,
story.
for the record.
That's also true.
Which one of you guys has got the one that may quite, we were hypothetically saying
No,
it
don't
could
talk about it. Don't
it
talk
could,
about
it could go, at a higher rate of speed. Yeah.
Yeah, 200.
Well,
I
I,
mean
I didn't
100.
hear
I mean
that.
100.
Yeah.
I mean 100. That was I
Under
misspoke.
100, I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
All right, that's right.
You're
It's
talking
under 100
kilometers per
miles an
hour too.
Right.
yeah,
right.
yeah. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so interested in finding out how that's built.
I'll send you some pictures.
And
Okay.
I see Dan
Specs
has
would be helpful too.
dropped a link here on. I think Dan has thrown down the gauntlet for anyone who lives in the cold climate.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I've done it. It's just, if I drop one out in the snow, then it's going to be there till spring, and that's kind of an expensive thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. I'm willing to go get that where it may be much more difficult for others.
Well, I'm willing. Just the ability to do it is just not good at.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
gonna
you need a
work.
rescue drone.
Yeah,
There
I
you
need
go.
a rescue person is what I need.
Well, you do have your spotter with you at all times, right?
Absolutely.
but my spotter is usually my wife, and she's not all that crazy about running out there in that. I'm not gonna go get that,
Yeah, it's hilarious. Awesome.
Okay.
Well, I'd like
All
to
right,
also just jump in quick
go
and do
Yeah.
a quick thanks for everybody who showed up tonight. That's awesome. Great to have you here. And that we do need your help. And one thing you can all do is just spread the word. Post links to our website, Facebook, share it, get more people here in this meeting next week. Anything you can do to spread the word, we really appreciate it.
Yeah, well said. Agreed.
All right,
Yes,
so just to kind of give you a heads up, so next week we're going to be talking about the ability to assist first responders. And I'm not cutting anybody off. I'm still open for questions, comments, whatever. But the ability to help first responders and what that entails and what that looks like. So that's going to be up for next week. And just a little side note before we carry on, for those of you who are in the chat, if you are on the website, you'll see a tiny little banner up at the top that says Grand Opening Week Sale, 20% discount on all the merchandise in our shop. So take advantage of that. That's a pretty big deal. Thank you, Stephanie, for putting that on for everybody.
Yeah, that runs until Saturday, and there'll be other specials coming up, but that's just the opening list, get everybody in there sale.
So keep an eye on the website. That's where our promos will be. So check that out and get your gear and broadcast the FPV FC to everybody you know.
Nice.
Cool.
I'm going to go take a nap for a couple days now. That's all right.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephanie. This has been a sprint to get here.
All right. Any last comments, questions, any of the above?
I go back to spotters for a moment.
Yep.
I used to fly at a model aircraft club out over in some marshlands actually. Anyway, but it's a very old-fashioned sort of flying club where it's like all icy and glow and all of that, and they all build their planes out of balsa wood and paper and crap.
Yeah, I'm a member in one of those clubs.
Yeah, well, whatever.
I'm currently working on a Zeroli Staggerwing Beach.
Oh, very nice. Even I have absolutely no idea what that is. Anyway, I'm not having an issue with the club. I'm having an issue with the people there. It might just be this particular one, but
I have one of those locally here too.
Anyway, so yeah, I had to do like BMFA Cat A, which is a thing. I don't know. You have to do like qualification to fly model aircraft here anyway. But yeah, that's not the issue. Finally get to the issue. When I actually fly FPV, it's actually quite a rarity there, for a start. And secondly, if I fly, I have to have like a certification in flying a fixed wing, or like a certification in something. So either fixed wing, rotary, or multi-rotor. but they don't really care which is a bit like, this isn't very applicable. But then they also ask that they have a spotter which is also certified in something, even if they're not using a buddy box system. So it just seems, this is more of a rant than actually a point, but anyway. Yeah, so it just seems a bit pointless about them having to have like a certification if they can't actually do anything about the flight. Like, they can tell me that it's there, but they don't need a certification to tell me that something is there.
Right, and so to guide that into some things that we're thinking about, being a spotter is to me universal. Having been a spotter at national events here in the state, it's the same duty. Watching what else is going on, not watching the person that you're, the aircraft that your person is piloting. In addition, we feel that just lost my train of thought. It'll come back. It's one of those senior moments.
I mean, I'm like 18 now, so I can just blame it on the time. I can blame it on the age.
That's it.
We could probably find a reason to blame everything on in this.
Yeah. No, what I was going to say is that thank you. That helped. That little pause. Yeah, the synapse finally closed. No. So working with and flying FPV at AMA fields, it can be welcomed. It also can be shunned here in the States. So what we're trying to be about is, we want to be safe and we want to be benevolent, and we're going to try to educate people so that, as you were saying earlier, that there, we find broad two groups of people. One group who really adores drones, and another group of people who are quite resentful. So we're trying to break down those barriers, and I think that's one of the things that'll be very important to us. And if we can mend or create some bridges with the AMA, my wife tenderly refers to my RC fixed wing club as the old farts, and so if we can get along a little better with the old farts, that will help us, because that's at the ground level, and then we're also working at the headquarters level with AMA, and that should benefit all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true over here as well. They're all really rather old.
I'm
but I mean,
the gauntlet's been
matter
thrown.
of fact, they are. I mean, but when I did actually get round to jumping through all of their hoops, some of them actually came up to me. It's like, wow, that was some really good flying. It's like, yeah, it's like, if you're actually open to it, it's actually a lot more fun than you think it is, of just hovering there, spying on everyone. So I mean, I think it's just like getting past the initial like fear of that it's gonna do damage or break something, and it's, yeah. So once you got past the initial fear, it should be good.
Very good.
In theory.
Other questions, comments, reactions?
It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I should probably go to bed, I think, is that my reaction.
Good night, love. Thank you for being here.
Oh, that's
would anyone else like? No, I'm only kidding.
Oh no, it's fine. No, this is the first one I've been to, because it's like 3 in the morning. Well, it started at 2 in the morning, and now it's 3 in the morning. So,
well, we appreciate you taking the time. It's awesome that you could be here, and we love feedback from anywhere. Doesn't matter if it's from the U.S., the U.K., Israel, wherever. We love the feedback. So, please, guys, here's the deal. Ultimately, we are accountable to the community, so please hold us to that. Please give us your comments, your suggestions. Keep us in check. We're open to it. We're open to any comment you guys may have. And just to reiterate, I announced this last week, but I don't know if anybody's seen it. There is a suggestion box up at the top, a channel for the suggestion box. So feel free to use it if you've got something, or feel free to direct message one of us. We'll be happy to help you out. So, or listen, or whatever the case may be. So, we are accountable to the community, though. That's the whole point. So, with that said, that's all I have. Anybody else? All right, guys.
I think that's a wrap. Good
That's
meeting.
it.
Dust Bale
Thank you.
just rolls across Discord.
We did it.
Now on to the next program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. With that, I really should go to bed. So, night, guys. Or
Good night.
Good night.
afternoon, wherever the
Good night.
time is for you. So,
Later. Thank you
Good
all.
night, everybody.
Have a good evening.
Good night, everybody.
Night.